Yo, what's up guys? I hope you're all doing well. Today, I just wanted to turn this on and talk about the Atziri Temple because we're kind of getting, 5 weeks, 6 weeks into the league, and we're hitting that kind of natural stopping point where people have achieved everything they want to do and they're starting to move on, which is, perfectly normal in a seasonal league type game. And even though we're this far in, I'm still finding myself playing because of this Atziri Temple. I'm just having so much fun. I'm on my third temple now, so I'm trying to build one now that's like, min-max, like perfect temple, where you have these same things on repeat. So to do this, it's extra effort because you have to like place things in a square and come back around, and it takes a long time to do it. And I'm just enjoying it. I'm just enjoying trying to make the most min-maxed, high rarity, high effectiveness temple. And it's just been really, really fun. So I just want to talk about it. I want to talk about, the league mechanic as a whole, kind of what GGG wanted it to be, and the initial reception to that, kind of what we have now with this snake mechanic that has been, widely adopted and used, and how that's feeling, the good, the bad, and then kind of what the future of this is going to look like and what I'd hope for. Because the way these league mechanics work is they come out full of features and new content, and then as the league ends, they will solidify them into the base game. So we'll see some version of this in the base game. And I think this is so important for them to get right because for two reasons. On the one hand, there was such a huge contrast between what GGG wanted us to do in here and then what we enjoyed doing in here, right? That was the first big thing. And the second thing is this is so important because it's our first major non-mapping endgame. So, you have the mapping, and you have like abyss and rituals and all that stuff. And then you have bossing, which again is a little bit tied to mapping. But then you have this, which is a full thing you can do. You can create this whole thing, and this can be your endgame. You can spend your entire endgame just building your temple, running this in loops, and just having fun. And I think that's really important. It was a big part of the first game. You had things like heists and you had delves, and that was just, some people will just do a delve as their entire league. Every single league, they will just keep doing delves because they enjoy it. So if they get it right, it's going to be really, really good for the game. So first up, if you've not really played much this league, or you haven't really done much of the temple, or you're just checking in, there's been a huge difference between how GGG intended this to be played, which wasn't really very fun, and not many people were really enjoying. It wasn't very rewarding. And then a certain thing was found, which is the snake mechanic, and that has just been incredibly fun on so many levels. And that, I'll say it, this has probably been the most fun mechanic I've played in Path of Exile 2. So the way they originally intended this to be played is you would go to the architect first. So say your architect is like here, you would path to your architect. So you would play like this. You would just build a path, and I'm just using like a simulated tool to show you like the temple. You would build your path, and you would place like random rooms, and you just haphazardly just throw stuff down like this, and then just play like this, and then you would eventually hit the architect. You would beat the architect, and that would give you reward rooms. So that would give you these reward rooms here. So this one might have like divines in. This one down here might have like a special unique. And then you might get like another one up here that has like some other event in. You'd place 3 reward rooms. And then as you defeat the architect would move, and a big chunk of your temple would destabilize. So it would likely go like this. And you'd be left with this. And then you would path back to the architect, you would path to these hidden rooms, you would do these reward rooms, and then you'd make your way to Atziri. And it would be like a push-pull battle of slowly working your way to the bosses, slowly working your way to the rooms. But generally, you wouldn't get loads of really cool rewards from your temples. You'd just be trying to hit the big rooms and hit up the boss rooms, right? And that's what they wanted it to be. That's kind of how they showed it. That just didn't hit for lots of people. It doesn't feel like you're progressing when every time you get there, you're being pushed back. And it didn't match the rewards you could get from just doing anything else in the game. Bosses, maps, abysses, rituals, anything like that. And then people discovered the snake mechanic. And what that basically meant was you could chain rooms in a row, lock the final room, and your temple would never destabilize. You would never touch the architect room. You would never touch the Atziri room, the boss room, and you would just build up your temple. The way that would look is you would lay down if you're completely not touch this, you would lay down a room like a garrison. You would then path to like a spy master. You would place a garrison. You would place an armory. You would place another garrison, another spy master, and you would link around like this. These rooms, these spy masters, had a chance to drop locks, and then you would lock the room, and you would eventually start to look something like this, where you have these big chaining rooms. These have a high chance of dropping locks, and as you have more and more of these rooms, the effects start to build up because you have so many. So, the rarity goes up, this is like half built, if that. 500% increased rare monsters, 370% rarity. So humanoid monsters have increased effectiveness, which is like quantity. So this just builds higher and higher and higher and higher. And that just leads to these super, super rewarding rooms, which was fun. And the journey you go on to learn this was just really, really rewarding. You actually had to use your brain and work things out. And it rewarded the knowledge. It rewarded the more you spent learning this. That, first you learn about the locks, then you learn about the chains, then you learn about, what rooms can interact with others, what rooms level up another, and then how do we get more of these? Because you can't go Spymaster, Garrison, Spymaster. So, but you can drop one and then you can come out here and drop another and then loop back in with another and then delete these and you get around it. Right now I've got like this corruption chamber. And when you drop a corruption chamber, that's the end of the chain. You can't place anything after the corruption chamber. But what if we come out here, we drop a bunch of rooms, and then we drop another thaumaturge here, delete this room, then we've got an extra thing on the end of the chain because they'll snap together. And you're slowly learning more and more things to make this more and more rewarding. And I love it. I think this is honestly the most fun I've had. And when this might not be what they intended, this might not be what they wanted it to look like and how they wanted the league to go. But when you see like the Jonathan and stuff sit there and roll out this and show like all the cool stuff you've done, I think this has delivered on what they want. Maybe it isn't how they wanted it to go. Maybe it was too rewarding and, we got around a lot of the restrictions they put in. But this shows that all the work they put into this mechanic was worth it. And all of the stuff they did to make this as cool as it is has paid off because there is so much depth there. And honestly, I'll just say, if you've not touched this, have a go this league, because maybe it won't look like this next league. Maybe it won't be as fun. Maybe you can't do as much crazy stuff here, but have a go, because what they've actually built here is phenomenal when you play it like this. And I'll say hats off to them. Easily the most fun PoE2 mechanic I've played so far when it played like this. The actual like building to not fun, but played like this is incredible. And that's where I think I'm nervous about where we go when it goes core. So when this goes core, there's kind of two things to address, right? One is the rewards you get from this are way too high, clearly. As this is the league mechanic, it's okay for it to be like super juicy because it's the thing the majority of people are doing. But I think it gave way too many divines. Right now, with this many rooms, I'm getting like, 3 to 4 divines a run. And that's because you can see here, like one room is like 60% increased number of rare monsters. And that applies to the whole thing. So the more rooms, the overall rewards go up. When you've got a full one, I had one that had like a lot more rooms than this on my last thing, and you're looking at something more like 30 to 50 divines a run. That's too much. I think that's genuinely just too much because it diminishes all the other content. And if they release like a new mechanic next league, they don't want to make people feel like, oh, well, if I'm not doing the temple, I'm playing bad because they're getting so much more than me. So they need to bring the rewards down, right? And I think that's going to come with the scaling. I think they should bring the scaling down so that they just work out the time it would take to run all these rooms, have a flat sort of thing, and work from there. Like, how long does it take to clear, 10 abyss maps? What reward do you get from that? How long would it take the same time to clear the temple? What rewards can you get from that? And scale it that way. I think that would be really good. Just bring the volume of stuff down and add more like exclusive things in here, like the double corruption, things like that. And I think the next step would be, what do people enjoy and what is fun? This is a game. What do people enjoy and how can we keep the fun? And I'm speaking for myself here and the people that I've played with and talked to. And generally we've all said this whole like, the reward rooms and the, go into the architect and pathing up to the architect, getting destabilized, losing like half your temple wasn't really very fun. What is fun is building something like this, right? This was really, really, really fun. What's not fun is the pain points along the way. If I was to connect these rooms here like this, that would create a full loop. It would create a loop that goes all the way around and back to the start. That would destroy my entire temple. That would destroy like 20 plus hours I've spent creating this one. And that is awful. Additionally, the start of creating this is awful because you're pushing against a system that doesn't want to be made that way. You're trying to create this like lock thing, but all these rooms here, you're not getting any locks. So it's very, very, very hard early on. And lots of people will have tried this, got discouraged and quit. So what can we learn from that? people like to build a big temple that they don't lose. They like the progression, and they said they want to make this like a roguelike. Well, how do roguelikes work? You build up something, you create something that's stronger and stronger and stronger, and then you have the option, you know, when you finish, to go again with new rewards. Think of like the most basic idle game, like a clicker. You upgrade, and then you restart. You restart, but you have plus 10% power, right? The very basic roguelike element. What if in this, we didn't have these restrictions where rooms got destabilized? We didn't have these restrictions that meant like we had to keep farming locks. We could just build. We could plan out a really, really good temple, put restrictions on, like, you know, diminishing returns if you have 4 of those and 4 of those. And, you know, let us build a really cool temple that does a certain thing. Like, I'm going to build 50 rooms that try to make the perfect corrupted gems, or I'm going to build like 40 rooms that are all about getting like tons of XP, and I'm going to like level in here really fast. Or try and like build it a certain way, or I'm going to hit all the bosses. Or I'm going to try and have like the most, you know, unique drops, and build it a certain way, build it a certain type. And then when you've built it, when it's full, let us reset it. Let us reset it and give us a new reward. So let's say it takes you 20 hours, 30 hours to build a full one. Let us then go fight the boss. Or once, you know, put a button down here that's like a reset. And then when you reset, something happens. Either you get a % of this carry over as like a base reward, like a 10% rarity buff going forward, or a movement speed buff going forward, or you add a new mechanic. Like 1 in 3 rooms will be delirious. 1 in 3 rooms will have a boss in, or some really like weird thing that there's incentive to reset and build again. Because the fun is in the building and the planning. I don't care about divines, and I really like, I finished my character long before I built my temple. I've got everything I want. I could get more upgrades, but I'm one-shotting like tier 15 maps. I'm doing completely fine. And I had that way before I built my first temple. So it's not about the rewards to me. It's about the fun of building, right? And let us build a really cool one, and then let us reset it and get something new. Maybe like when you reset it, you get new types of medallions, new room types get added. Like new things get added. Maybe you can add an abyssal room that will spawn like an abyss here that will then roll out into the 4 surrounding rooms with abyss monsters. Just get weird with it, and just, I don't know. I think you could do so much with this, and I would love to see them add more roguelike mechanics and let the building be more free and less restrictive. But that's just my opinion as someone who's absolutely loved this league. And I know there's people who haven't. I know people who've just got discouraged and quit, and they haven't liked this. They didn't like the handling of like the Halton thing and the whole patch, you know, note, and then retaking the patch back. And there was a lot of like, there was a lot of things people didn't like about this league, but this has just been my thoughts on it. I'd love to hear what yours were. I really want to know, like, how have you found it? How have you found the temple? How have you found the league? Did you achieve what you wanted to? Did you gel with this, or was you not a fan? Yeah, and what would you like to see with this? Because I think it's important to keep it in some aspect. So how would you like to see this next league? I'll read them all and I'll try and reply where I can, but I'll definitely see them. So let me know what you think. And please, if your only comment is, "Oh, the temple sucks, I don't like it," okay, you don't have to do it. You know, this is just a small part of the game. There's going to be mapping, there's going to be bosses, there's going to be a new league mechanic next league. Have fun. But just because someone doesn't like it doesn't mean we should get rid of it. And it's all about tweaking it. And I think the main issue people have with this is that there was too much rewards, and there was so much reward in here that they felt like it encroached on their end game. It felt like they were doing abysses and they were angry because they were watching Fubgun get 200 divines a temple, right? And that, I can see why that would be annoying. And that's a reward issue, not a mechanic issue of like a system. So I'm really curious what you guys think. I've rambled on a lot here because I just wanted to talk about this, to be honest. So yeah, let me know what you think. Subscribe if you want to see more. Take care. I'll catch you on the next one.